Ghost holding my hand in the darkness, seeing ghosts down the hallway. There's a presence, bedroom shadows, cloaked and haunting me, cold hand touching me, fear overwhelming me, tapping at my window. I can't bear to open my eyes, a breath on my neck, floating apparitions everywhere. Go to sleep with the light on, I wake up paralyzed. Ghostly apparition hovering over me, asking what it wants to know. I'm shaking now, it calls out my name, cloaked and haunting me, cold hand touching me, fear overwhelming me, tapping at my window. I can't bear to open my eyes, a breath on my neck, floating apparitions everywhere. Go to sleep with the light on, I wake up paralyzed.
A nervousness born from the earth, my madness came by storm. I heard heaven and hell, but how can I be mad? Across the table, I'll tell you the tale. I wanted for nothing from the old man, not even gold. I'll tell no lie, it was the old man's eye, a veiled pale blue eye. Peering into it, my blood ran cold. And my heart is where I hold a secret plan for this old man. A descent into madness, it cannot be, it was the old man, not me. A pounding, a beating, the heart kept screaming. You may think me mad, but how for madness knows nothing. I sit here, my mind clear, this tale I tell. Are these the sounds from hell? 7 days I crept planning, but never did the eye reveal itself till that night. A slip, a sound, awakened did he, but I could not flee. I felt his fear that we tried to comfort and steer his dread, for he lay back in his bed. In flash I jumped on him, dragging him down. Now no more sound, he lie there, dead on the ground. A descent into madness, it cannot be, it was the old man, not me. A pounding, a beating, the heart kept screaming. Both fear and glee swept over me. No one would ever find the body. Sometime now they came, sat chatting, but I could hear it, the heart beating. It grew louder and louder, I could no longer contain myself as I slid the chair. They still stayed there, not leaving, my anxiety rising. hands. Here it is, the beating of his hideous heart. A descent into madness. It cannot be, it was the old man, not me. A pounding, a beating. The heart kept screaming.
All right, folks. Welcome to Paranormal Roundtable. I'm your host, Josh Turner. This is PRT. Join us in the real reality. The real reality. All right. So that's what we call it, the real reality.
New to some people.
It's new to some people. Some people are like, "Hey, I didn't know this was the real reality."
The uninitiated.
I'm here for the real reality, and I'm like, "Well, you've come to the right place because that's where we're at." Too bad a lot of people haven't joined us in this real reality. We have more people that need to
Wake up.
Thank you. Oh, gosh. So a lot of stuff going on. They're rioting in LA for the millionth time.
That's
that
just
was
the
standard LA.
yeah. That's
Fires and riots. It's just what they do.
that's just a Monday.
That's just
that's
a
all.
That's a standard Monday.
They've got a bad case of the Mondays. That's all it is. Or except on a Sunday.
So here's the thing, folks. We got a show tonight. It's about, well, I want to say Bigfoot, but it's more than what is it? Who knows?
Abomination.
We'll figure it out. Do what? What'd you call it?
An abomination.
An abomination. An abominationable snowman.
Yeah.
Because it is a white-looking creature. So
Abominable snowman.
gray. Well, it's gray. I guess I should say it's. I don't know. I mean, I know this. If it happened to me, I would have been like gone. But then if I was them, right, I would have been gone out of that house. But I also know this, that you don't know what this thing is going to do because they can follow you. And that's a mistake a lot of people make. They don't realize that these things will absolutely follow you. So you make decisions and you think, well, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And then things happen. Things really do happen. So the song you heard, the Telltale Heart, that is one of Nellie's newest songs. And it is it's from the poet, Edgar Allan Poe.
Mm-hmm.
Poet, whatever, I guess we call it. Yeah.
Edgar Allan poetry.
The Edgar Allan, we were going to call it Edgar Allan
The
Poetry.
Edgar Allan poet.
But and so we had the first album, which was Monsters, and now we have this one that's coming out. But there's kind of like two of them happening at the same time. That is from an album we're titling Dead Poets. And she's got another one that's based on Emily Dickinson, another one based on Robert Frost. Really good stuff. Now, full disclosure, she used AI for part of it. But that's, people think like, oh, well, you used AI, so that's just what it is. No, dude, the AI is not that easy to use. I challenge anybody. You think you can make music? Go ahead, do it. Do it. She writes the lyrics. She writes all the lyrics. It's not something that, hey, you put it in and AI spits it out and makes the music great. No, I've seen her doing it. It's a lot of work, and I'm sitting there going like, man,
going back and forth, several iterations of the same song.
I would pull my hair out, and I have a lot of hair, as you can see. That's why a lot of people are jealous of me. I didn't even bother to comb it. Look at this. Let me go ahead and brush it on the camera here. These people are jealous. They're like, why do you have hair and I don't? It's called genetics, man. It's called genetics. So I have to say something. Our dear friend Nick Valenti was almost tricked. People were like, oh, what's he doing? He almost went on this person's show, I guess. Well, he says he didn't even know. He didn't know who this person was or what they were doing, whatever. And I don't think he would really know much about it. But thank goodness he decided not to, because apparently, according to him, he didn't even agree to it. So those of you who were worried about Valenti being like, oh, he's going on this maniac's channel, whatever, that's not happening.
Yeah, he's like, I don't even know what the hell's going on with
He didn't even know what was going on.
It's news to me.
And thank you, Tex, for being a real friend and helping to deal with that situation, because Tex, I give him the credit. He reached out and, so I got a call from Nick today and was like, look, man. And I'm like, hey, you do what you got to do. You do you. But if somebody deals with them, I'm just letting you know you're dealing with people that are going to be, you don't want that on you. Okay.
I don't want it on you.
Yeah, you don't want it on you. Believe me, trust me. And I'm doing that. I'm looking out for you, man. So, but I appreciate other people being vigilant and helping and dealing with that situation. So thank you, Tex, for being a good guy, mediating, and Brandy, you too. And I thank the people that were vigilant. But yeah, so that's pretty much that. I'm glad that worked out. But we got some people in here. We're almost 250 something, right?
Yeah.
We're running a little bit late, but dude, I'm telling you, we're doing stuff for the business, and we're tired. Believe me,
Exhausted.
There's a lot of
putting out just fires left and right.
Yeah. Last night, one of our workers. Austin people drive really bad, but one of our workers had to use the restroom because one of the other workers had to take the key fob home, and so they had to go to the restroom, and they got hit by somebody who then tried to take off, and so then this person tried to stop them and tell them, no, you messed up my car. And when he was trying to get their license plate, they almost ran him over, and it was a big thing. So then I ended up having to do my job and their job, and we were all talking about, hey, we're gonna rest. It's Saturday. We're gonna take.
Yeah, I was looking forward to Saturday. Like I told myself, man, it's gonna be a restful day. Don't have a lot to do, but try to run around all day and night.
Yeah, it was brutal. And we had to drive like 15 more miles down the highway, down the traffic-filled highway in the morning.
Yep.
It's even on a Sunday there was a bunch of traffic on 35, and go get the key fob from our friend and partner. And folks, just pray for us. We are. Oh man, it's rough. Yeah, Dorothy, you're right. Everybody needs a dash cam, man. You can't trust these people, man. They don't. There we go. Should get my phone to work, right? So what we have going on here, let's get started because it is late for, and we got a late start, but we have somebody who they didn't realize the danger. Arkansas is a very foreboding place, and this area where this person lived, and I think I talked a little bit about it on Abe Cias's channel, Spiritual Encrypted Encounters. Shout out to him. He hit 1,000 subs, I believe.
Yeah,
congrats. So congrats to him. But this happened in Arkansas near the Ozarks. I'm just going to say that. And they're not interested in people coming and looking for their property. They're not. I already talked to them about that, and they were just like, yeah, just, But Leslie is a very colorful person. Very colorful person. I enjoyed my conversations with her. I usually do. I usually do enjoy the people I talk to because we talk about all kinds of stuff. So there's a couple things really I need to get into before we get into this. She told me this crazy story, and I'll tell this one as a prelim before the show really gets started here. She killed, I should say, she unalived. We'll say the K word.
Deleted.
She deleted a feral hog on her property in the Ozarks. She came across a wild boar while she was walking. She had a 308. A good thing she had it on her, and she nailed that sucker right between the eyes. And she said, man, it was bearing down on me. She goes, and I was just walking along with my dog. Her dog's name was Scooter. Not the first time we've heard of Scooter as a dog here, but Scooter was her dog and no longer with us. But Scooter growled, and Scooter was a female. But she was a good girl, and she growled and got her attention. And she says, man, this thing it came around a tree, and it bolted right for her. And she was deer hunting. This woman is not no wilting willow. She's pretty tough. The man that she's married to now, she married him 4 years after her first husband left. He left her because he cheated on her. And so he tells her, I cheated on you and I'm leaving. And that was the end of it. And so she was just like, for 4 years, she's like, I lived out in the woods by myself. And so she was by herself when this happened. And but she's very much like a very live off the land kind of person.
Mm-hmm.
She always believed in Bigfoot. It wasn't like something that she just, Bigfoot just showed up in my life.
Yeah.
No, she was like, no, there was. So it happened when she was 6, 14. She was 6, 14, and 22. 3 different times. She said those years she saw a Bigfoot 3 different times, and they were all
8 years apart.
Different,
right?
all of them. Yep. All of them were different creatures. The first one she saw, she said, looked like cinnamon color. So she has them labeled by the cinnamon colored one. She was with her older sister, who is also deceased now. She died of cancer, unfortunately. And she thinks that this Bigfoot caused it. Oh, no, that's the second one. The second one. Sorry about that. So when she was 14, her and her older sister, who was 18, they went out and she took her to go pick mushrooms, wild mushrooms. And she said that we were out there and we were doing, whatever. And we had these, we call them dewberries here in Texas, but they have them in Arkansas too.
Blackberries.
Yeah, blackberries. And so she went out there and she was picking some, and there was some wild grapes and berries and mushrooms. They'd get a whole bunch of stuff. Her family was pretty poor. And so they didn't have a lot of money, and so they would do things to make supplement the income, things like that. And yeah, there you go. And so this is what's crazy. So she sees this thing when she's 6 years old, and it was just very brief. It was just a cinnamon colored thing, and it walked across a trail while she was riding her bike. She had just learned how to ride her bike without training wheels when she was like 5. So she'd been riding around 2 days after her 6th birthday. Bam, she sees this thing. Now, when she was 14, she saw another one again. This one was black. It was completely black. And she said that it dropped down out of a tree and stood there in front of her and her sister. And it grabbed her sister by the shirt and was like trying to attack her. See, the weird thing about this too, this thing had like furry all over its body, but the arms were not really like fur. They were more like hair, like human like hair on the arms and legs. And she said that it became very like when you would look at it, it was very like not uniform. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It was clearly
like
that this part right here was just not patchy. She said that there was just this very shaggy, and then on the arms and legs, it was like human like hair.
Mm.
Very weird, and the hair was just like she said it was like
It's
a
like
fro.
2 different types of hair.
Yeah, that's what she said, and the hair
Like
was like
fur
a
and
fro,
hair.
and then it was just like went everywhere, like almost like spikes.
It was diverse.
And so she said that this thing tried to grab her sister, and they took out running. Now, here's the crazy thing about that: when they described this creature, the sheriff's department came and they said, "Oh, we're looking for a black man."
Wow.
No, for real, that's what they said. They were like, so you got accosted by a black man that was up in a tree, trying to jump down and they were both like, "No, this wasn't a man. It wasn't a human." They're like, "Okay," but you said he had a fro, and they're like, "Yeah, he had a fro." If it was a he, they couldn't see genitalia or anything like that. But they were like, "Hey, this thing had a fro on its head, And they were like, "Well, what do you think it was trying to do?" I'm like, "Well, it was going to either eat us or try to assault us in another way." And they were like, "Okay." So they took it down, and so they went and they actually there was a black guy that lived not too far down the road, in another little spot or whatever, like 2 neighbors down,
Mm-hmm.
and they tried to arrest him.
Dude, that's like advanced racial profiling right there. It's like he's being profiled for something, for looking like something that's not even human. Like that's like racism squared.
Yeah. Well, he apparently had a criminal record, and he had been in trouble for breaking and entering.
Okay.
And so, so
That
he had a
changes
record.
it.
So they were like, kind of like, they went after him. Well, what's crazy though, and what she said, she was like, Leslie told me, she's like, this was nuts. They went after this guy. She's like, and we told them, this is not the culprit. This is not the perpetrator. And so they ended up doing like this, where they brought him, they didn't do a lineup, but they brought him out, and they were just like,
Is that him?
they were like, is it him? They couldn't see, he couldn't see them, they couldn't see him. And she's like, it wasn't a lineup, but they didn't bring other people. It was just, and they were like, no. So they had a sketch artist to go, and then she said, I was a kid. She's like, I was a little child, and I was 14. And I said, they drew a sketch, and it was like, this is a monster. And she's like, yeah, that's what we've been telling you. You think it's a person, and it's not a person. This is not a human being that we're talking about. Not a human being in any way we've ever experienced. But it really messed things up for her when she told them that she had seen one before.
Mm.
And they were like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, so you're one of those. So then when she was 22, she came across another one, but this one was different. It was gray. And I asked her, I said, so do you think it was like an old creature? Like maybe it was aging? And she was like, no, I think it was just gray. Like, how some dogs are gray, like our dogs, 2 of them are just gray.
Mm-hmm.
She's like wolves are gray. Fair enough. She saw it while she was hunting. She saw that about a week after she had shot the boar. So she just went right back out in the woods. She was not scared. This is a person who's not, like I said, she's out in the woods all the time. This is not a person that's like, oh, I'm scared. I'm going to go outside because something's going to grab me. Oh, my God. Let me call the police. No. She's like, she said after she was 14, what happened to her? She quit calling cops.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm not a cop caller. She's like, I had a prowler come onto my property. He's like, hey, my brother makes good head cheese. So she dealt with no, but she said
Starts
this
cutting
guy
his
came
hand.
on the property. When she began to describe this guy to me, I said, so there was the guy from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. She goes, no, he didn't look like that with a mask. I said, not the chainsaw guy. The guy that was like, my brother, that guy that was cutting his hand,
Yeah.
you know, that he's like,
Yeah.
you know, he cuts the dude's hand open or whatever.
But I'm gonna get the slaughterhouse.
Hey, we hit the cows in the head a bit.
We smashed him over here with a sledgehammer.
Bam, bam, bam. You know, it was she. So she kind of says, yeah, it was a long-haired guy, had a backpack, you know, and he had these weird-looking boots, pointy boots, not like the people from Mexico boots, but these boots, you know. And so this ends up, she's like goes outside of her trailer. She has a trailer, and she goes outside her trailer and levels a gun at him and says, "Hey, you better get out of here." Well, I want to work. She said he had a real whiny, nasally. I want to work. I'm going to try to do it. I want to work. The way she
Better
said,
work your ass off
she
my
said it
property.
very funny. Leslie made me laugh. She goes, "It sounds funny, but she's like, when you're 5'4",
Yeah.
she's like, I'm a little blonde woman.
It's terrifying.
You know, it's terrifying. You know." She goes, "I got strawberry blonde hair," and I'm like, "Ooh, you're part red hair. Ooh, ooh. You have the Nephilim in you?" I'm joking, Leslie. I joked with her, but she came out and she was like, "You better go on. You better get." And this dude's like, "I just want to work. I just want to work." And so he was like, you know, weaselly, nasally sounding guy, you know. And so she got rid of him, said, "You better get on." And she walked him about two. This was weird. The reason I'm talking about this, she said, I walked him about 200 something yards, you know, to get him. I walked behind him. He kept trying to turn around. She said, "You turn around again, you're not gonna have a face." And he goes, "You're gonna cast me out into these woods?"
Hell yeah.
And she said, "Yeah." And he goes, "You know, there's devils in these woods." He told her that.
Yeah, you're one of them.
He's like, "I've seen them. You can't do this. If you're a good Christian, you can't turn me out like this."
Watch me.
And she was like, "No, it's happening." She's like, I spit on your grave." That's what she told me. If you haven't seen that movie,
Don't.
yeah, you don't know what I'm talking about. That's what she told me that. She says, and I was not about to be a victim. She's like, I am not a victim. So she dated this one guy at one point, and he was nice at first, but then it turned into abusiveness, and he was very tried to controlling, manipulative. But luckily, she was smart. She didn't let him live with her, didn't let him move in. She says, I was listening to you talk about sociopaths and people, you know, that happening. And she has one child, one daughter still alive. And that daughter lives in not Branson, it's in northern Missouri. But anyway, she lives in Missouri. So she comes down to visit every now and then. Southern Missouri, sorry. So she comes down to visit her every now and then. And so they were out in the woods walking around, her and her daughter. And her daughter sees this whitish gray flash go by them very quickly. Her daughter likes to shop for antiques. So that next day they went out and they were shopping for antiques. And she says, she stops and her daughter's like, this mirror talks to me. Interesting thing to say, because she was like, really, what does it say? She goes, it says, buy me. And she was like, okay. You know, and it's not like she was saying that the mirror actually was speaking to her. It was like, this speaks to my soul to buy, you know, whatever. And she thinks that maybe this wouldn't have been a problem. But it was.
People got to start listening to kids when they say weird things. It always costs them too much not listen.
Yeah. So she says it wasn't a problem at first. She's like, my daughter buys it. And then she's like, she's got a bunch of stuff in the back of her SUV. She can't drive it all the way back. So she says, I'll come back for it next week when I return. I'll come back next week. Well, a week turned into a month. Her daughter started a new job. She couldn't come get it. And then the month turned into 2 months. She said over the span of this period, she had just started to break up with this guy, Dave, the guy that was really controlling and manipulative. And she walked outside in her yard, and she's like, I'm not even joking. It was like Blair Witchery. And she says, there were these little stick figures that were hanging from my tree. indicative of somebody who's doing a binding spell, like a magic. And she knew that this guy, Dave's sister-in-law, was a practicing witch. And she was not a good person. And a lot of people in that area knew that she was not a good person. And this was a problem because this woman told her point blank, if you make Dave upset, I'll do something to you. And she was doing it while she was eating dinner with him and jokingly and just kind of smiled. And she's like, is that a threat? She's like, no, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
No, you're not.
And Leslie was like, I knew 100% this was not a joke. This was a threat. Absolutely. And she goes, you know what? She's like, I took my fork and I was like, I don't like you. And she's like, oh, well, the feeling's mutual. She goes, then leave. I didn't invite you. You came. Then Dave's like, well, they're my guests. And she's like, well, then I'll leave. And that was the beginning of the end. And then the next thing you know, she's having these issues. And I told her, I said, did this woman go into your house? She said, yes, she did. And things would come up missing. I said, oh my gosh. And I asked her this, and she had not thought of this. I said, did you ever notice like maybe your brush had some of the hair pulled out of it? And she's like, I didn't notice. I don't know. I was like, yeah, because that's how it works.
Mm-hmm.
Someone goes into your bathroom and they're not a trustworthy person, and you got a hairbrush there. Or you have your toothbrush, as gross as that may sound, but they may take some of your DNA or whatever it is away from that. And then they do something. I know another person who swears up and down she was cursed by a woman that came into her house and did something. And she was a Puerto Rican lady, the one that it happened to.
Yeah, that's right. Or fingernails.
Yeah. But she says, I don't know. She could have taken anything. And I said, well, there you go. But this mirror ended up in the house. And she says the first night she was there, get this is creepy. She wakes up and she hears something that sounds like a woman singing really, really low. And she's like, did I leave the radio on? She wasn't real sure. This wasn't a long time. It was 2014. So she says, I thought maybe, and I couldn't find my phone. So I thought maybe it was my phone. So I go and I find it sitting there in the living room. And I grab it and I look at it. The phone's not on. In fact, it was dead. I hadn't charged it. I went to sleep very tired. And then she's like, but the next night, she says, everything was fine, but my dog, very weird, the way the dog was reacting to something, And she's like, I had something going on. She's like, I didn't see this creature, but when my daughter told me, I thought it was the same thing I had seen when I was 22. And get this, her daughter saw it, and guess how old she was?
22.
She was 19. Anyway, nothing to do with that. She was 19 years old. Leslie's probably listening, going, "Well, I didn't tell you that." I was like, "I didn't say you did. I didn't say you did." Okay, stop getting upset in this skit.
It has nothing to do with anything.
Leslie,
made it up.
Calm down. In this skit, you were hysterical.
What's your source on that? I just made it up.
Surveys say. Did you survey? No, but surveys say.
Yeah.
Who's survey? He lives down the street, dude. Okay, he's my friend. Survey, Giannis.
A new study says that people believe you when you preface what you say with "a new study says." The gullible will believe you.
So, what ends up happening? Oh, by the way, nice. You got the UT shirt on. I didn't even notice.
Oh yeah.
Congratulations, women's softball.
Yeah,
UT,
did good.
UT, man, national champions softball. So I like softball. I like women's softball. I like women's softball. I like men playing it. I want to see you. What are you doing playing softball? Go play baseball. Playing softball.
That's weird.
Like, and they always throw it real soft on the hand, and then they're like, I'm a home run hitter. So am I. I'm a sailor too because they eat spinach. Dude, shut up. Okay? Stop playing softball. What's wrong with you? You're a man. Throw the ball hard like this.
And they're always
like
drinking. And they're always drinking when they play softball too. Like, what are you
No,
doing,
not all
dude?
of them. Some of them take real serious, dude. They act like it's a serious.
Yeah, that's what's weird.
Yeah, they're really, really. But those women, though, they throw the ball hard, like it's like 70, 80 miles an hour. I don't even. It's crazy. So, anyways, back on track here. She was like, I started hearing things. My dog was acting weird. She's like, I knew something was wrong. My dog was acting so weird. And she said, you know, when she had this third encounter with that creature, and she had this is a different dog, but she had the dog Scooter, you know, for days afterwards, she heard like a weird, like a whooping sound out in the woods. She said, I would hear it periodically, and my dog would just growl and growl. And she's like, she was not a growler. No. Her other dog's name was Beverly. A funny name for a dog. But who was we were talking to recently, and their dogs' names were all like,
yeah, they had like they were like biblical names, like like Luke,
like Ezekiel,
yeah,
something else. Like my dog Jeremiah,
yeah,
my dog Ezekiel,
Hezekiah
does not like that puppy chow.
Zebulon.
So what happens? She says, "Look," she goes, "My dog. She was just acting very strange." She goes, "And I was taking care of my daughter's dog too." And that dog, get this, the dog's name was Puffy. I was like, "Is it any relation to Diddy?" She's like, "Heck no." But she said she had Puffy, and a little Pomeranian.
Yeah,
it was a Pomeranian mix. She's these little short little legs. It was a Corgi Pomeranian mix. I thought that was interesting. I saw a picture. It's a very cute little dog, by the way. Leslie's very, very, very cute dog. But that dog and this other dog started going crazy. And she said she ended up taking care of Puffy for a long time, and she just ended up, you know, keeping her or whatever. And she said that their dogs were just growling and going nuts. And Beverly and Puffy were outside on the porch. And she just hears a yip. And this is very sad. She goes outside, and she had 2 cats. And one of them had gone missing. And he was an old tomcat, though. And she said he could have gotten into a fight. He had one eye, and he had been fighting and doing stuff. And he seemed like he might have been getting ill. So maybe you could explain it. She goes outside, and Beverly is there on the porch, and Puffy is nowhere to be found. And Beverly is laying on her side, and she's mortally wounded. She grabs her, takes her to the vet. She doesn't know what has happened or how this has happened. And the veterinarian, which was like 28 miles away, by the time she gets there, they had to just put her down. And they said it was like something had grabbed her and just squeezed her real hard. And she was a medium-sized dog. Puffy had gone and retreated under the porch. She didn't have time to mess with her. She knew that Beverly had to get to the whatever. So she calls her neighbor Cliff, and then Cliff, and I think her name is Elaine, Cliff and Elaine, they live down the road. So they end up coming to the house to grab Puffy to find him. They found her down by the water, like scared, like in a little nest almost, like she was hiding.
Yeah.
Cliff said this: when he went to grab her, she bit him, which was not in her character, and they heard something behind them that sounded like footsteps. When Elaine, I think that's her name, when Elaine turned around, she said they didn't see anything. But Cliff said he saw a blur move real fast to their left, or from left to right. Elaine was shocked. She was like, I hear it, but I don't see it. And now these are people after my own heart. He's like, I got something, you know. He's like, you know, blurry or not, you know. And so I talked to him briefly when he was there with her. And he said, he goes, me and my wife, he's like, we are experienced in the Ozarks. We've been there for a long time. And we know that there are things out there that are not of a normal nature. He's like, and I have personally seen a beast. Now I'm going to talk about his encounter one day, but not this day. And this thing was not a Bigfoot. And he goes, but I believed, I knew that there were Bigfoot out there. And he's like, so we grabbed the dog and we took off back to the house, and we took it back to our house and let her play with our dogs. And then he said our dog had gone missing. About 2 weeks after that, our dog went missing. Minnie, their dog's name was Minnie, a little dachshund, wiener dog. So Minnie went out to go potty, and their daughter, who was just kind of bleary-eyed and, you know, not really paying attention, is looking at her phone, and then she hears a yelp, and Minnie's gone. What people don't understand is they don't have to be there and be visible to you to do this. They can take these things and they can cloak, and your dogs or pets, cats, whatever, disappear. That's why I tell people, and I said this to them, and I said, you got to plead the blood of Jesus over there. And he was of the opinion these things are physical, completely physical. And he said, well, how's that going to protect from an animal? I said, it's not an animal. So we talked, and then he called me later, or he messaged me later that day, and he goes, I've been thinking about it. He goes, I think you're right. He's like, my son saw one of these things. And he's like, and it vanished before his eyes, or it cloaked. And I said, they do both. They do all kinds of things that are not good, that are not normal. And if you haven't heard it, go back and listen to the episode we did with Jerry and Ella Williams, the one that we just did, okay, on Friday. And contrary to what some people are trying to say, I didn't just call them on the whim. We had been talking about them coming on.
They were already scheduled.
Yeah, but then we ended up double booking. So So here's the thing: when you don't plead the blood of Jesus, they are basically susceptible, in my opinion, to whatever is out there. And so if you really, really, really want to protect yourself, your house, your home, your pets, your family, plead the blood of Christ over them. Do yourself that favor. Because something really bad could happen. And Joanne Harder says that was a great show. Yeah, I really enjoyed talking to them.
Yeah.
They're good friends of mine.
Really good information that you don't get anywhere else.
Nice people. And, they've been in my house. We've eaten dinner together. They didn't curse me, as far as I know. It's always a plus, a bonus, But what these people have gone through, I wouldn't wish it on anybody. Because you wake up to this real reality that these things are real, and especially if you're 5'4", 120 pounds of person that and Leslie's like, hey, I try to be tough. She goes, I work out. I do things. She's like, but I'm not She-Ra, and that's funny because she knew that reference. She's an 80s person like me, like you can see. Okay.
I love Soundwave.
Yeah, and she was a She-Ra. She knew what She-Ra was. Princess of Power, He-Man's sister. Really cool villains on that, But she said this weird thing to me. She says, I always knew that this thing was around. And I'm like, thing? She like, which, like, you've seen multiple. She goes, no, this grayish white looking, whatever it was. And she said, the mirror, right? The third day that she had that mirror, she goes, it was in my house. I heard the scratching on top of the roof, and something had crawled up onto the roof. And from midnight till about 3 a.m., it kept waking me up. She's like, I had to go to work. I couldn't be dealing with this. She's like, I went to work. I had a job in town. She goes, it was a clerical job. She's like, but I was exhausted. And her friend, she talks to her friend at work, and her friend's like, why are you so tired? And she told her friend, she's like, something's going on in my house. I am tired because something was on my roof. So the lady she worked with, I can't remember her name, Jane or Jan or something like that with a J, but she says, you need to talk to my husband. So they go eat lunch the next day. He comes and picks the ladies up and takes them to lunch. And her husband tells her with his friend, which she ended up starting to date, the guy's friend. She's like, that's when I met my man, Patrick. And I was like, Patrick Starr? She goes, no. And, she was like, we were eating lunch that day. And she's like, and she goes, and this is funny. This is a human thing. She goes, I thought he was attractive. She goes, I was going to order like a cheeseburger. And then I see him and I'm like, I'll just have a salad.
I'll just have the fruit bowl.
I'll just have a fruit bowl. She's like, I wanted to look all dainty and proper, so he likes her. And then he tells her, he goes, oh, we got to get you some real food, when they go out on the date. And she's like, yeah, I was just playing. That's not really how I don't usually eat that way. It was just because I ordered the Cobb salad because I thought you would be, And he was like, oh, thank goodness. I thought you were just one of them, Typical Arkansas people, right? And so she says, they're nice folks. I know a lot of them. But she was like, this is what she thought was a fortuitous thing, and it was like something good that comes out of something bad. They're still together. They're really, And she said this was crazy. Like this guy comes out of whatever, and she gets to know him a few years after her husband had left her, after he cheated on her, honky tonkin, as she said. And she said that this guy treated her very well, but he was a believer because the lady I worked with, and these people all live out there on the edge of the Ozarks, right? She says, this guy told me, he's like, we were out in a deer blind, and this creature came out of the woods, and it literally, there was this buck that came running out of the clearing. She's like, and all we saw was this quick flash, and bam, it was on top of that buck and pulled it down. And then it was over its shoulder and it was gone. A gray flash, as she said.
Mm.
So then she says that this guy, they went around driving around out by the lake where they lived, and he showed her where it was at. And she said they got this horrible foreboding feeling. And she goes, Josh, she calls me Josh. She says, I'm going to tell you like this, Josh. She goes, when we felt that presence, I grabbed him and he grabbed me. And she's like, and I think it drew us together. He said that was the moment he actually fell in love with her. But it was born out of fear. She's like, and I'm one of those people that I believe that goodness can come from anywhere. Hope springs eternal, right?
Mm-hmm.
You never give up hope. So one of the things that Jerry and Ella talked about, when these Sasquatch will grab people, these Bigfoot, and they'll look you in the eye because they want to take your soul when they're doing what they do. And she's like, never, ever give up. Don't just accept fate. So anyway, they felt this foreboding presence, and they were just like looking around. They could hear something like crunching around, walking, and they were gone. She goes, we got in his Jeep and we were out of there. And then she said that he became like her rock. They were like close, and they started seeing each other. And he stayed the night for the first time 2 weeks later. And then he was like, your house is haunted. He's like, something was shaking me. And I woke up, I look over and there was nothing there. And she said, yeah, ever since my daughter bought this mirror, it's been weird stuff left and right. And then he goes out onto the porch. She goes, where they lived, they could see the lake. It was the back porch. You could see the lake. It was a beautiful, this little, like, she has a trailer and there's a back door, but she made it to where there was like a deck and there's like an enclosed little enclosure, So it was really, she goes, it was really nice the way we made it. She's like, I miss my trailer. I live in a house now, but she's like, back then, it was, and he had a lot of stuff he had to bring. He had a nice big place, so they ended up, he downsized, she upgraded. And she said that he was out on the porch and he comes running back in and he's like, Leslie, I just saw something. And he was looking because he was wondering, what was going on. He lost a pet, one of his cats. Oh. And he said that there was this thing that was standing there in the brush and he was looking at him and it had red eyes. It would turn its eyes a certain way. They look black, turn its head a certain way, it would look red. Glinting in the sun. My words, he didn't say glinting. But yeah, that's what it was doing. And so he told her, he goes, you got to come out here and see this. And by the time she came out, it was gone. He couldn't, just like, it's gone. But then that night, like clockwork, at 9 o'clock at night, they hear, and they're like watching a movie. And she's like, okay. And she goes to answer, and he just says, don't do it. He stands up and she's like, he's a big guy. Patrick's a big guy. And his friend Rex, the one that, the woman that she worked with, that was her husband's name, Rex. He's standing out there and he's like, hey, Leslie, it's me, Rex. And she's like, oh, okay, thank goodness. She's like, this is true. This really happened. This is absolutely true. She wanted to make sure she prefaced it with like, hey, this is a true story. I'm not making this up. So she goes, Patrick answered the door. I said, let me guess. It wasn't Rex. She said, nope. From our porch, she's like, it's about 2 or 3 feet off the ground, right? She's like, we're kind of up on a hill, and it's like a slope. She said that there was this thing standing there in front of her vehicle, in between their vehicles, and it was almost as tall as him. And he's 2 or 3 feet off the ground, off of the forest floor. And this thing was standing there. And she said, and it was the ugliest, nastiest, meanest looking creature, grayish, smoke colored creature, looking at her. Not even looking at Patrick. It was looking past him. His arm was up like this. And he put his arm down, and it was like it was still kind of looking, kind of even moving its head to keep looking at her. She says, I came out with my rifle and was like, get out of here. You know, like, I'm not going to play this, you know, whatever. She's like, when I went back to get it, Patrick had closed the door and said, it's gone. And she's like, what do you mean? She goes, he's running toward the back of the trailer to go out the back door. And she's like, it's on the other side of the house. It ran around the other side. He grabbed his weapon. He had a 45. And she had her gun, and they went out the back, and it was not back there. So it moved so quickly, and the way it disappeared was so, you know, like boom, with purpose. She's starting to wonder along with him, are we losing our minds? Did we really see that? Maybe we didn't really see that. It was dark. The light kind of came on, then went back off. It was, you know, one of those. She's like, I don't know what I saw. And we started rationalizing, and he goes, no, we saw that. We saw it. It was there. That was there. And they're trying to convince themselves that maybe it'd be better if they thought maybe we're just tripping. You know, we're tripping out here. And I told her, I said, no, you saw what you saw, and he saw what he saw, and that thing was there. But it moved so quickly by the time you came out. And she's like, there's no way for it to have gone that quick. I grabbed my rifle real quick, and he stopped me. I went to the front, and then I went to the back, and it was like not even 10, 12 seconds. And she said that a normal human would not have been able to do that. She had a garden on that other side. It would have had to go through the garden area. It didn't. And he was like, thank goodness it's not coming into the house. No sooner had he said that than that mirror falls over. He leaves, goes home. He has to do some things. He's been over at her house, you know, practically staying there. And he's like, I got to go home. I got things I got to do, you know. He goes, my daughter, you know, whatever, is coming to visit with her boyfriend, and they're going to take care of the house for a little while because he had to take a trip. He had to come to Texas. And so he was like, yeah, I got to go. And he would go to Shreveport, you know, to do other stuff, you know. And so she's like, he's got to travel. And he told her, he says, I'll be down in Texas, down in Port Arthur. He goes, but if you need me, you have my phone number and call me, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So she's like, we were talking every night. She's like, the third night he was gone. He was down in Port Arthur. She said that while we're talking, she hears this growling noise over the phone. This is creepy. This gives me the chills even talking about it. She said, I hear this growling noise over the phone. I hear like something there with him. And I tell him, she's like, I'm like, Patrick, well, she calls him Pat. She's like, Pat, I hear something. And he's like, what does it sound like? She's like, it's a growling noise. It sounds like something next to you. Can you hear it? And he was like, no, I don't hear anything. Then that was the end of it. Then the next day, he calls her in the late afternoon. He's back in the hotel, and he's like, you okay? And she's like, yeah. He's like, what is that noise? She said it was like a buzzing noise and then a smacking noise. Now, something people don't understand. If you are a completely a cryptid person, you may not understand this. You may not know this, and I don't blame you. But there is this phenomena that happens with these spirits, and I've come to realize that it happens a lot of times with vampiric entities. Sounds like that. Mm-hmm. Some people it sounds like a baby, like babies smack their lips, mm-hmm. or somebody who's drinking blood. Right? I just said that because that's, and she said, this is the first time I heard it. He's like, let me call you back. He's staying at like some La Quinta or whatever, some hotel, right? He calls her back. He's like, there's nobody in my room. It's just me. He goes, unless my room is haunted, I don't hear anything unless I'm on the phone with you. She's like, well, I heard a growling noise, like a guttural noise coming from your end. And he goes, well, that's weird because I saw something in the mirror yesterday. It looked like a pale thing. That's all he could describe it as. I didn't talk to him. So then she says that this guy tells her that when he was young, he had seen something on the back of his sister. I thought this was interesting. And he said that she was walking down the hallway and he was walking behind her. And he was like, his sister, I don't know her name, but he said his sister was walking and she turned into the bathroom and this little thing looked over and it was hanging on her. And it had no legs. It was just like this little spine that ended in a
It's like hanging on her back.
Mm-hmm. And it was like looking at him with these weird, it was just this head that was like bigger than the body. And it was like, it looked like a little demonic vampiric looking thing, a black entity.
Nasty.
And he said he got real dizzy and kind of lightheaded. And then his sister had a lot of problems. She ended up getting into drugs and later prostitution. He said that he thinks that there was this house that they used to live in and that she got an attachment. He didn't know about attachments or anything like that until his ex-wife's aunt told him about attachments and explained to him what they were and told him his ex-wife had one, which is why they split up because she couldn't get it under control. And he said that these things will do all kinds of whatever. And he's like, I seen it firsthand. So when she heard the smacking noise, he was like, he heard it. He says, I've heard this before. When my sister, I would go in her room and I would take CDs and cassettes and things like that, back in the time when it was kind of transitioning from the cassettes to CDs. And he goes, and when she was the first one in the house that had CD. So I wanted to play it. So I snuck in there and was kind of listening. He's like, and then this clapping noise happened and the CD player shut down. Then I heard this smacking. Now you can look this up. This is a real phenomenon. When he was telling me this, I said, this is why it's important to have knowledge. And I said, yeah, that happens. The popping noise too. That's another thing that's very prevalent. He saw this thing standing in the hallway with feet. And it looked like a flying squirrel with just weird, but black head. It looked weird. And he's like, just a few months before, he had seen this creature look like an infant on her back. Talking about his sister. Mm-hmm. This is when he was a child. Patrick, the lady we're talking about, her boyfriend, now husband. And he was like, I don't know what this was, but it was standing there, like about 2 feet tall, looking weird, like a little spindly body, and it had like wings kind of going down like this.
Yeah.
Like
the membranous wings.
Yeah, and like not the kind that go up on the back, but the kind that are just this webbing in between the arms and legs.
Flying squirrel wings.
Mm-hmm. And he was like, what are you? And they told him death. And it walked into his sister's room with little slapping feet.
Yeah.
And he was like, whoa. Now, it went into his younger sister's room, not the one he was in. And then he thought, maybe there's more than one of these things. He goes, nope. Next time I saw it on my sister when we were playing outside, he goes, you remember the slipping slides? I remember those. He's like, yeah, we had one with a little banana. I remember that too. And he's like, we were swimming, or we were going on it and then going into this creek, going down the hill. It was dangerous, stupid, He's like, my brother ended up getting cut on his head and almost took his eye out from a branch. A little lower, and he would have had one eye. But he said, this thing was on my sister's back again, but it was big. And she kept complaining about her back hurting and her neck hurting.
It's taking more and more.
And he was like, yeah, because you have a demon on you. And she's like, shut up. And she turns and slaps him. And then his mother got on to him. Don't say things like that. He goes, but it's there. Then he realized as he was growing older that he had an ability to see things. Not all the time, but it was there. Kind of like what I had. And so I understood what this guy was talking about. When he was telling her and she was telling me, and I was listening to him talk, and I didn't speak directly to him at that point, but he was telling her, he's like, well, tell him this and tell him that, and blah, blah, blah. and she was giving me all this information. There was so many talking points. I can't remember them all. He had so much to say. And then her neighbor, I think her name was Elaine. She began to call her regularly and say that there was something in her garden, something had destroyed her roses, something had taken the cucumbers and all these other vegetables and stuff. And she said that there was this basically 4 or 5 unalived squirrels that had been hung on her clothesline and pinned down like something evil did that. And then she found one of her cats, and it was hanging there. And she said, we are in trouble. There's something here. But thank goodness it can't get into the house, right? That's important. When he comes back from Texas, he was there for a couple of weeks, and then he was going to go to Shreveport, Louisiana. Pat said, hey, I'm going to be back for a while. And when he said that, they heard like something slapping the hands. And they were like, whoa, what the heck was that? What is that? 3 slaps. 3.
Mm-hmm.
And it was 3:30 in the afternoon. Maybe that's important. Maybe it's not. What do you think? Then she says, I knew we were dealing with a full-blown haunting. Something was going on, and I think it was that mirror. She goes, I walked up to that mirror when he had gone to town, and she's like, what are you? No answer, no response. Just her moving her face back and forth. None, She's like, I was doing silly things, making faces, sticking out my tongue. She's like, because at least on 2 occasions, and it happened to Pat too, we looked at ourselves in the mirror and we looked different. I moved my head to the left and went to the right. Yeah. She's like, I looked at my eyes and they were completely blacked out, and my tongue looked like it was black until I stuck it out. Because I asked her, why were you moving? What were you doing? And she told me, this is why. She's like, I am so tired of this mischievous, evil spirit, whatever it is. She's like, show yourself to me. And she heard a growl, and her dogs were terrified. Puffy was hiding under her legs, like just trying to get inside of her body, just trying to get away from this. She's like, I thought my dog wanted to crawl up my back and just go inside my body to get away from whatever this was. She said it was horrible. It was awful. This ominous feeling of this presence. She's like, and then finally my daughter comes and she's like, oh, okay, I'm going to take the mirror. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. She's like, thank goodness. She's like, I couldn't take it all. I couldn't take it anymore. She's like, and I told her, I said, don't take that mirror. We need to get rid of it. And she's like, it's the only reason I didn't. I wanted you to come. I wanted to talk to you person to person. So the daughter stays the night, and her and Pat get along, they're cool, whatever. And her daughter's boyfriend, her fiance, was there with her. And they slept in the one bedroom, and then there was a spare bedroom, and then her and Pat were in the other bedroom. And they all heard it, something moving around in the spare bedroom, which she used for storage. She goes, I had a few boxes in there, pictures and stuff. And there was something moving around in there. She's like, I could hear it slapping the boxes around. Somebody was throwing something, and it was just making noise. I got up, and I ran into my daughter's boyfriend, who was also looking in there and was like, what is that? And she's like, I don't know. She's like, and then Pat comes in, and he's like, what is that? They all were waking up, except for her daughter. Her daughter didn't wake up. The next morning, they go out and they go fishing. They're all gone. They come back to the house, and everything is tossed all over the place. She said, I had a record collection. Things were thrown everywhere. Like somebody ransacked our house looking for something. And she said, I could not believe what I had seen. It was like everything was just tossed all over the place. She's like, and I told her, I said, that's that damn mirror. You need to get rid of it. We need to get rid of it. We need to get rid of it now. Then they decided that they were going to go for a drive. They cleaned up everything and as best they could, and they went for a drive. They went to this place that they liked to go. It was a pizza place. She's like, and while we're there, the waiter comes up to us, not our waiter. And he tells us, he's like, I don't know you, but I'm psychic. This is what he said. And they were like, yeah. And he was like, you are going to burn your mouth on your pizza. It's going to suck. I got to go. And he took it. That's not what happened. No, I'm just breaking up.
You're going to need more napkins.
Yeah.
It's going to be real messy. I just thought I'd tell you that. And you might spill a little bit of your coffee.
I foresee a very generous tip in your future. Giving generously. Yes. Money. Yes. I see green. I see 3 digits for a tip followed by 2 decimal points.
You have 2 paths ahead of you. You either tip heavily or slash tires. That's all I'm seeing.
Slash tires.
Or I see a surprise in your food if I don't see a triple digit tip.
Yeah. So unfortunately, the psychic told her something very dour. And he says, look, he's like, I'm going to tell you something. I'm not trying to be ugly. And he goes, at the risk of getting fired, and he goes, you have something going on. He's like, I saw a reddish brown looking entity. Reddish brown. It's like, what do you mean? She goes, I can't really describe it. I just saw the colors red and brown. And it was like hovering around you. And it's coming from something in your house. And then he felt chest pains. And this is a young man. And he went back to the kitchen. And they were like, and he's like I said, if you want to get me in trouble, go ahead. I don't care. But I felt compelled to tell you. The waitress comes back and they were kind of stunned. And she was like, what did he tell you? And they were just like, oh, we were just talking. She's like, yeah, he's a little odd. He's kind of new, you know. And they're like, no, he's a good guy. He's cool. She's like, we ate our pizza like, you know. She's like, we were just staring at each other like quietly eating our food, you know. We get back to the house. And she goes, my daughter's boyfriend is just like, what is going on here? But that night, he wakes up. They hear a scream, and it's him. He's yelling. And they go into the room, and there he is. He's on the floor wrestling around with something that they can't see. And he claims that something had literally bit him in the neck. They leave the next day, and they take the mirror with them. They have a place together now. They moved in, and they had the mirror. A couple days go by, the things kind of subsided at their house, at the trailer where Leslie and Pat were. And then it slowly kind of just faded away. And it was still stuff going on around the area, but not in their domicile. Then her daughter calls her. And she's like, Mom, she's crying. Mom, I need help. She's like, what's wrong? She's like, something grabbed me in the shower the other day. She's like, and it's gotten worse. She's like, I was walking by the mirror. We hung the mirror up in the hallway, and something came out of it. And her mother was like, what do you mean? She's like, something has been attacking us. She's like, and I went to the doctor, and they said I have anemia. And they told me that I needed to get, you know, my iron up and all this stuff. Then she says, I saw this thing in the hallway, and it was a whitish gray creature that looked human, but almost Neanderthalic and ape-like. I don't know how to describe it. She's like, almost like a Bigfoot. She's like, you remember when we were in the woods and that day? She's like, I think it was that creature. Because it looked like a quick blur, right? She's like, I felt like this thing was coming to me in my dreams. She's like, and then when I saw this thing, she's like, I knew that that's what it was. It was that thing. It was that creature. That thing was stalking me. She's like, and that's why when I went into the antique store and I said, this thing spoke to me in the mirror. She's like, it didn't literally speak to me, but it wanted me to buy it. An unnatural feeling that she had. My words. right? What possessed you to buy that mirror? Was it something that you saw in the woods that day? And I asked that question. I didn't talk to her, but I talked to her mother again. I said, Leslie, what do you think it was? And she's like, I think that thing, it wanted her to buy it. And it was in my house. And now it's in my daughter's house. And something was crawling on her at night, and it was taking her life force. She's like, I drove up there 3 hours away. I drove up there as fast as I could. She's like, I did record time. Because I was there in 2 hours. She's like, and I'm pretty sure I outrun a higher patrol. But that's neither here nor there. That's all alleged. But she's like, I took Pat's Charger. She's like, and I was like, I flew up there. She's like, Pat's like, yeah, take care of my car. It's my baby. But yeah, I'll see you. Bye. You know. She goes, I go into her house. I grab that mirror and I try to get it off of the wall. She's like, and it cracks and breaks, and a piece of it slices my arm open like it was a bologna slice. Then I had to go to the ER and get 12 stitches. She's like, but the weird thing is all this blood that was dropping onto that mirror, and I thought, this is not a good thing. We go to the ER, we come back, and the mirror is laying face up, which it shouldn't have been. And it was only cracked. And she tells her daughter, she goes, what is this? This thing broke. Then her daughter tells her, well, I mean, I didn't really see it break. I just saw it crack, and I saw your arm get sliced. She's like, it was broken. Then her boyfriend says, or her fiance says, yeah, it was broken. But there again, the daughter doesn't see it. The boyfriend comes home and sees this black mass on top of her while she's sleeping. She doesn't even realize it's happening. Then she's like, well, I think we should just put the mirror in the back in the shed in the back. And she's like, why are you resistant to this? She's like, I told you when this mirror was in my house. We were having all these problems, and this creature is running around coming to the house. Now it's in your house. And you want to keep this mirror on your property? And her boyfriend was like, absolutely not. We don't want this mirror. So he did something kind of rash. He went and he started smashing it with a hammer. And then he said that was a big mistake because for the next 2 weeks, they were cutting their feet on pieces of glass. No matter how much they cleaned.
I don't know if like
that was a good
smashing or burning objects like that is the way to deal with them.
So just to preface it though, with like, I bought a Ouija board and I just for shits and giggles, like I lit it on fire and I spread the ashes at a cemetery and was like, yeah, I said a bunch of weird words. I mean, it seemed to work. People are going like, huh? No, I didn't do that because this is like South Park. Okay. They dig up the bodies and then he beats on them and buries them back upside down or whatever. No. Then the goldfish is blowing into the killing. He's going to kill him.
Yeah.
Mom, this goldfish is going to kill me.
It's getting closer and closer to him in the bedroom.
No, I didn't do that. This isn't Pet Cemetery. But what happened to these people is very real, folks. When this woman would talk to me about this, she had to do this over a course of 3 days in chunks because it would just fry her mind. And Pat, he was a godsend. He really did help. And he was a God-fearing man. And he was like, he dreamed of her. Get this. He dreamed of her a month before he met her. So when they were at the restaurant, he was like, whoa, deja vu. But then he was like, I had a dream about this. And then Rex, he was like, yeah, I remember you telling me. That's interesting. That is very interesting. What do you think? Coincidence? I don't think so.
There's no such thing.
She needed somebody to help her to get. She's like, I don't know if I could have made it through all of this without Pat. I was like, I'm a tough woman, but this was ridiculous. This mirror, well, they didn't do that. What they did was they took the mirror and they took the pieces or whatever, and they went and they threw it into a dumpster in town. This entity, this creature, whatever it was, appeared to them multiple times, like in and around their house prior to that. Once they said it was kneeling down, and when it stood up, it just looked like a flat, two-dimensional being, which is really weird. And then another time, it looked like it was crawling out of the air, going toward their roof. They saw it really quick. And it was spider crawling over the roof.
Yeah.
Bizarre. And still again, they saw it laying under their deck. Like it was like this, you know, ready to pounce, you know.
Yeah.
With his arms splayed out. After the breaking of the mirror, they prayed and they prayed and they prayed and they stayed up all night. They heard clapping and all kinds of noise, but it eventually died down, and that was it. And as far as I know, they haven't seen the Bigfoot type creature in and around Leslie's place either. I said, "Do you think it's gone?" She said, "No, it's around. It's just not, doesn't have access." She's like, "I pleaded the blood of Jesus. I put salt in the corners of the house. I did all of it, everything.
But it's still on the property. It just can't come to
It
the
doesn't
house.
come in the house."
Yeah.
So that's that story. So tell me what you think in the comments section, and then we can move on. But what do you guys want? You guys got anything to say?
Yeah, I actually had a thought whenever, like circling back to the smacking sound that she heard. Like, you know, that's one of people's most common pet peeves too. Is like to hear people
Oh, yeah.
smacking when they eat their food. Like, and that makes sense like to make a connection. I think the reason that's such like such a pet peeve that makes people so mad so commonly is because it taps into this like primordial fear.
Primal.
Yeah, of a real predator that walk the earth. Come on, man.
What? I'm just listening.
You know what's funny is
I'm gonna put the camera on you, and then they can see that abomination. You smacking.
Go ahead.
That's gross. Look at that. Look. Oh, damn it.
that model pose. What is that,
Freaking
blue steel?
Bugs Bunny over here can't get one over on him. But
I don't know what this man is talking about.
no, but you're lucky I love you. Damn it.
It's weird.
Tony's like, "It's weird. I don't love him."
No, I was gonna say I keep getting the craziest goosebumps as you were telling the story, and it's all on my left side.
Look at that thing you saw.
Yeah.
Tell them what it looked like.
Are you
I mean,
talking
you
about
probably
the
said it
neck one?
before, but tell
Yeah.
them again.
It was a kind of. It looked like, if I had to like put it out in words, it looked like someone took a trash bag and put it over their face, like a garbage bag, and it was all like real tight on their face, but that was actually their face, like that was their skin, and like they had that's the thing I remember most is just like this.
This is black, like
unnatural
glossy
black.
skin.
No, it wasn't glossy. It was kind of,
But completely black.
it was like static, but like it looked like just pasted, and it looked like all ridged up and stuff, like you would see it like all wrinkled,
Uh-huh.
but like it was hard. Like those weren't like because it was flowy, because it was stuck like that. Like that was part of it. So
And you saw that while we were recording. I don't think that was on a live stream. Like,
yeah,
we were in the middle of recording an episode for one of the podcasts, and then
I think it's in the episode. I mean, I think you left it in when I saw that thing.
yeah, I think I did because like I had to turn the mic up, in audio editing, I had to turn the audio up like all the way because you had got up and were like going over there to look, and you were away from the microphone, but I wanted to leave it in. And I had to turn the audio all the way up so I could hear what you were saying.
Yeah, it's weird because like I'm shaking now and I'm not cold, so I don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
That's weird.
But yeah, that smacking sound, I think that there's like a collective subconscious that connects like every human mind, and that where memories are stored, and like we have, like we access it all the time. We don't realize it. And certain like common pet peeves, like the smacking sound, that people don't like it, or the nails on a chalkboard, stuff like that. There's a reason for that, and because it tapped in this fear of a predator that once walked the earth and still does, but it wasn't always acknowledged as like as a myth, or as a figment of fiction or of someone's imagination. Throughout most of human history, these things were very much acknowledged as a part of this world, or as a part of reality. But it's only in the modern times that we believe these things aren't real. But there's a reason for everything. There's a reason that like just that noise, it unsettles people.
Yeah.
You remember we were talking last night with Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Chris is my new business partner. But we were talking about this human predator. And it's funny because I told him, I said, we had just talked about it the night before. So this was last night. And we were on the phone together. And he was doing a site and I was doing a site, because I ended up Kim. Everybody knows Kim. He's been on the show, but he ended up having a wreck. And somebody hit him. And like I said, they just tried to take off. And then he tried to make them be accountable, and it didn't work out too good. But anyway, long story short, I ended up working a post, and I was talking to Chris. He was on another post. He's working up north in Round Rock. I was working down south in Austin. And we started talking about that primal fear of the human-like predator, this thing that's like, it looks like us. And I said, man, that's crazy, because last night we were talking with Jerry and Ella Williams. Yeah, donations are expected and appreciated. I expect it now. Thank you very much.
Mandatory.
I've only had a couple, and I'm not happy.
Or we're going to cut the stream. And we're going to cut the channel off.
They're going to be like, Josh Turner's demanding money again.
And we're going to throw a temper
Even
tantrum.
better, they're expected and unappreciated.
We're going to crash out, as they say nowadays.
What does that mean?
Just throw a fit and act a fool.
Throw a temper tantrum.
Throw a temper tantrum.
That's what that means, to crash out?
Crash out.
It's the newest Gen Z, whatever lingo they're using now. Crash out used to mean like I'm tired, I'm gonna crash out, I'm gonna go to sleep. Now it means you just spin out and act a fool.
You know what's crazy though is that like we're probably still
Rage
late
quit.
on that.
Yeah, there you go.
Like they have some new word now that we're probably late on.
See,
and that's what we think it
Well,
is.
because you're getting older. You're not children.
There you go,
anymore.
cowboy. Rage quit. See, but
That's what I know.
back in my day, we used rage quit.
We said rage quit.
Rage quit? That's what that was? I've never even heard that.
Yeah,
It's a gaming term. So
Yeah.
You get so mad.
Thank
You,
you.
Wow.
Yeah. Like I would rage quit Mario Kart. No game has ever made me so mad as Mario Kart.
Dark Souls for me.
Yeah, that too. But I liked like the failing at Dark Souls over
Yeah.
and over. It's fun. I can't stand failure in Mario
Actually,
Kart.
You know what it was, Squirt? Rage quitting is when I was playing Gladius and I can't ever hit the
Oh,
freaking
yeah.
button prompts. Sit there just be like, I thought you were good at games.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's what
I
I'll be
remember
like.
going
we see
with
it putting
that.
so much
Oh.
crap.
I was so bad at them. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a name for it. I don't know.
Mhm.
But yeah, this human-like predator that Chris was talking about, he's like, it was something that looked like us, and it caused fear. And it's a vampire.
Mhm.
Who was on the show? They said that, I mean, it was recent. Somebody was a guest on it. It was one of our guests, and they said that the number one creature that everybody was afraid of was a vampire.
I think that was Dick Richards.
That's what I thought, but I wasn't for sure. But I threw that out there when me and Chris were talking yesterday. And shout out to Chris. He's really big in the paranormal. Somebody had told him like it was a negative thing. They're like, "Oh, that guy, all he wants to do is talk about paranormal." He goes, "Me too."
Yeah.
So it's even a better fit.
And a
You know?
negative to a positive.
Yeah. So there's that. But one of the things I know is that people do and say things that are not always their own thoughts or words. Do you know what that means? Thank you for that, Bobby. Appreciate that. It's funny, they put the dollar something in the red, just like the 100. So if you put a 1 on there,
Mhm.
that doesn't make sense because the 10 is in yellow. Why is red for the dollar and the 100? And then there's all these
Mine's
different
blue.
colors in between.
Mine's blue.
Really?
Yeah.
Because it shows up red on there.
Mine's blue.
It says blue on there?
Bobby's donation?
Yeah, it says it's
Yeah,
red.
for some reason.
Well, maybe on StreamYard, like in the StreamYard studio, it might show up.
Bobby's
as
is
red.
blue like that.
Yeah.
But for me, it's red on here on the computer screen.
Yeah, that's
We're not trying to psychoanalyze your donation, Bobby.
Yeah.
We're like, Bobby,
Bobby, why don't you make another donation so we can test it out?
let's test it out. Make
Bobby.
make 20 more of them.
Yeah.
Bobby. These
Bobby,
all
Bobby.
need to be in increments of 10.
Dang it, Bobby.
No, but so what we were talking about though was the predator that looks like a human, and we know that this thing has been around for a long time because it is something that blended in with us, going back to the Nephilim, I'm sure, and it's some sort of vampiric entity devouring people and drinking blood. And I think that's what it is. And I've said this before. I'll say it again. Dang it, Bobby! Everybody. Bobby, he gives a donation. He's like, I ain't never doing that again.
Yeah.
You are jerks. we're just kidding, Bobby. Everybody's saying his name now.
We sell propane and propane
Accessories. We sell propane and propane accessories. Oh, dang it, Bobby. Bobby, you speak English.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is ICE gonna come and get me, Dad? Bobby, you speak English. Why would they do that? That's not funny. That's hilarious. Okay. Now, what I think though is that this creature in the Bigfoot, predator Bigfoot, and let's just start calling it that. I mean, Jerry Noah Williams coined that term, predator Bigfoot, but I mean, and that's another thing too. I want to say something about the vampire thing. What do you guys? I mean,
Well, I saw.
It's real like popular now in the
Yeah.
like in the paranormal podcasting community, but
yeah,
I mean,
because of
I'm just gonna say it like we started that whole wave. I mean, like with the at the time that the Vampire Confessions came out, especially
started with the Werewolf Confessions.
Yeah, the Werewolf Confessions and the Vampire Confessions. Once those two broke, then you saw all these people talking about the other about black goo, about the black goo, especially the black cube, all this stuff, and how it pertains to shape-shifting, to werewolves, to vampires, to the demonic influence and perfect possession, to parasites, which like being basically conduits for demonic influence. That all started here. I mean, like the PRT set that trend. I don't care what anyone says. It's like it's human nature to recognize patterns. It's the most basic thing. That pattern started like here.
And they say, you know, there's these weird like people out there, and they'll say that they came up with all of our ideas, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I wanted the truth. I wanted to get to the truth, and I could have taken what those people said and just been like, but I didn't, and I took it serious, and I did. And I'm going to be honest. I'm not trying to be mean or ugly to anybody. There'll be a few people that'll come forward that will show their face, but I'm going to tell you right now, most of this stuff is done in the shadows by people who want to stay in the shadows. And if they do get out of it, they don't want to be out there showing themselves and showing their faces because they have escaped something. So I'm kind of hard pressed to believe, not all, but a few. I'll believe a few, but there's not a lot of people that I'm going to be able to believe that they really are hunters, because why would you go out and show yourself?
Yeah, I was going to say, you know, fame and money are just tools being used as like a trick. If you were really into this, then you know that it's a earthly device to hold you back.
Now, these things, somebody said the strain was but you know, that's Hollywood, that's television and movies. And the thing about those particular outlets is that they're using soft disclosure. And so we're talking about the real part of it. Like, this is what it really is. These dogmen, Bigfoot, vampires, all the same paranormal soup.
Yeah, and that's a good name for it.
That's what Jason Bland calls the show, Paranormal Soup, because that's what it is.
Yeah, and nobody else talks about like the intricacies of like the different planes of existence and how like how things work there logically. Like okay, a perfect example. The episode, I think it was a live stream where you talked about this guy who was in one of these vampire werewolf cults, and he descended into the his story was he descended into the inner earth, looking for something called the fifth spiral.
Rex.
Rex, yeah.
His name was Rex too.
And how they go
That guy's
through,
an asshole.
and how they go through these these mercurial, like silver liquid mirrors that serve as portals.
That's where he met.
And how those things they cleanse off other parasites because the parasites that
don't want to share.
Yeah, they don't want to share their host. And so like it's very interesting how the physical processes of what they do, the physical rituals, like how it's explained what the spiritual, how that connects to the spiritual world. And
yeah, his name was Rex Rude.
Yeah,
and then he called himself Rexus Mundi, some crap, Moratus. It was some Latin word, and I was, but this isn't important. But I remember looking it up. It translated to like I can't remember, like ultimate death or something.
Yeah.
Or infinite death or something like that. And death is infinite.
Yeah,
what a piece of garbage he is.
Yeah,
and then he threatened me.
Yeah,
he threatened to unalive me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he was doing that because he was seeking out like this other faction of these inner earth beings.
Yeah, the Vril, they were using the Vril energy.
Yeah, to make a deal with them.
And he got imprisoned by them.
Yeah,
and
it was the reptilians.
Yeah, and you talked about how like you're not even capable of going to these places unless you are like spiritually malevolent to a certain degree. Like you have to be a very, very dark person to even enter these different the planes of existence to which he was traveling. You know, like they're like, if you're not evil committed to evil to like an immense degree, that's just cut off from you. It's like off limits. You can't go there. These are things that I find fascinating. I mean, maybe it's like just like a left brain thing, but the process of how these things work, the way you break them down and the way we get into them, I'm sorry, but you're not going to find that anywhere else. It's only here.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that guy, he wanted his story told. He was such an arrogant.
He wasn't apologetic. He wasn't.
No, I think nothing good of you. He's very proud of his evilness. Yes. And somebody says the Rexus Mundi thing, whatever, is basically the opposite of God. You know. But here's what he was. And it was Morte, wasn't it? Rexus Mundi Morte something.
Yeah.
And then the word for infinite. I forgot how he put it, but he put it on the heading of the email. And excuse me, we were gonna show you what it was, right? But I was like, then we thought better. We're like, nah, we don't need to be putting that on we don't want to put that on there. You know, it's like it didn't. It was ridiculous, man. And the guy had. Let's see here. Somebody says I just had that thing. Do you recall that a person named Rex in the chat before Wolf talked to the dude named Rex? Maybe, yeah. I mean, I do. I don't think it's the same. I don't know. It might be the same guy. Reading the chat here. Yeah, and Brittany says, nope, PRT is the only place we actually discuss this stuff and try to figure it out, connect the dots. Yeah,
yes,
that's the whole point. Like other people will talk about it, or they'll let somebody talk about it, but then they don't really get deep into it. They're not coming out and saying, hey, and I do believe that that's part of why we've been suppressed. I mean, our channel should be off the chain way bigger because of all that we do. But it's a concerted effort, and these goofballs that are doing the devil's bidding, and they're evil. They are absolutely evil. One of them, the main guy, the main leader, and I'll probably already know who he is. I'm not going to get into I'm not going to give him much airtime. I'm just going to say this. The devil does bad things, and then it has the accuser. He's called the accuser. And then he accuses the others of doing the same thing he's doing.
Yeah.
And they're doing that over there. They're doing it and then saying that we're doing that. And they're doing it every time. And what they attacked Jerry and Ella's native beliefs, Jerry's native heritage, and then at the same time proclaiming that they're native, which they're not. They have a card that says they're like 164th or some real small number. And then they proclaim it, and then they say that I want to be a native. I don't go around making a big deal out of it. I'm not the one going, look at me, I'm a Cherokee. I don't do that because I don't. And he's like, why don't you have a card? Because in Texas, they don't give them out like they're just going to give you a Tic Tac, dude. Over there in Okie, they give them to you for looking
Give them out like government cheese.
They don't do that here in Texas. You can't just go get one.
Yeah.
So I'm not like you, dude. I'm not living on government assistance either.
We're not conducive to welfare leeches here.
And then you attack Jerry's heritage. He's full-blooded Choctaw. And you're going to attack him.
He made fun of the cosmic spider Choctaw
he
creation
made fun of
belief.
it. Yeah. Yeah. Somebody says easy on the Cherokees. We're not attacking. See, that's the thing. Don't do that because we're not attacking Cherokee. He's claiming that he's that. I'm defending the Cherokee because he's pretending. He's like 164th or something ridiculous. Exactly, a bunch of Elizabeth Warrens. They're out there saying all kinds of crap, and by the same token, he's claiming that we're attacking the native heritage, his native heritage, which he doesn't have. He's claiming that I'm more than he is. I'm a quarter, and then he's attacking Jerry Williams's native beliefs because Jerry's a native. That's my point. And these people, and it's just one person doing it. I'd be like, okay, but there's a whole passel of people that are doing the same crap. He's not special in any way.
He's got as much native blood in him as like the toenail clipping.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's pretending, looking as a white ghost, that he's somehow a native.
Yeah.
And it's shameful.
And I mean, he's a white guy. Nothing wrong with being a white guy, but I'm just saying, don't go around claiming that you're all this. I mean, nobody else in his family's doing that but him. So why are they not out there, running around and acting? He's only doing that because he wants to create a narrative, and that's what these people want. When you're doing what you're doing, and this is a message to you, guy, that keeps doing what you're doing, you're not doing anything but making yourself look ridiculous, and you're hurting yourself, but you're doing the bidding of these devils. You are being a devil yourself because you're trying to stifle the truth. You are trying to suppress this channel. You are totally, absolutely 100% evil in what you're doing. You are an evil, evil, evil individual, and you need serious help in a lot of different ways. So that's my problem with him. It's just like, what are these people? What are these people doing that they are so obsessed with us? We have people who have made it their. I'm not even joking, folks. They don't even work. Their life's mission revolves around destroying us. Why are they so rabidly against us that they would want to destroy us in particular? Because we are on the right track, folks. We are on the truth. We are locked onto the truth.
The same reason why Rex Rude came and started attacking you, Wolf. It's because he first heard you talking about this stuff, and you're coming out about this evil, and you're putting it in light. And instead of being shameful or even being like, oh, he wanted to tell his side and tell the things that he went through.
Here's something right here. This comes, if you want to laugh, here's a funny one. This comes from the group that they started, which I'm not even going to tell you the name of it because it's so, if you're in PRT news, you know. All right, here it is. So he is known as Wolf in his teens. This is how ridiculous they are. This is their mindset. This is what they do. They posted this in their group, and this is how sick they are. He is tattooed. So why does he have Lobo tattooed on his chest? Lobo is his Wolf is his nickname. Should be Bitch, in my opinion. This is a fake person. Her name is Jessica. Says, then why have Lobo tatted? My guess is it's because it was his male lover at the time. He went by Wolf, and his gay lover went by Lobo. Oh, they're always good for a laugh, right? And then it says here, hey, he was the one that said he was always known as Wolf, not Lobo. What? What do you mean?
Do they not know?
When did
Spanish?
I ever say not Lobo? Lobo is wolf in Spanish, morons.
Do they not know you're Hispanic?
He basically ousted himself. Josh Iron Bear King Turdner. Iron Bear is a gay bar, which, honest to goodness, didn't know existed until they started accusing and talking and saying these crazy things. That supposedly I go to the Iron Bear and that the Bear King was all based on that. No, it's not, because we've had people come on the show and actually talk about the Bear King. Okay. And so then this other crazy person, she comes out there. Her name is Dana. She's nuts. She's like, most of us know Lobo is wolf in Spanish. And then this person tells Dana, yes, but why did he tattoo Lobo close to his heart on his chest and not wolf? Don't make sense to me unless Lobo is a lover of his gay lover. Well, my mother is Mexican and she spoke Spanish, and do I, and therefore I put Lobo, but it's not on my heart. The heart is over here. Look at where mine is at. You see it? It says Lobo right there on the right side. I miss you, Lobo, my gay lover. I miss you. Ay, 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 ay. We used to make passionate love together. Me and Lobo. I put my tattoo near his heart, and then I'm like, oh, wait. Damn, I put it on the wrong side. Damn it.
I'm sorry, but
I have failed you, Lobo.
What is this alternative that they're expecting? That you're supposed to put a name tag wolf on your chest like that? I don't understand what the hell they're talking about here.
What the freaking? It's if you think that Lobo is a gay lover of a man named Wolf, you might be a retard. All right. If you really think that you are going to get 11,000 views in between two videos that only got 800 views, and you are in a race with a channel the size of PRT, you may be a retard. Folks, this is the kind of nonsense that these people do. They have become the butthole ass clowns of the entire community. And you honestly think I'm going to be like embarrassed or ashamed? Like if I was gay, you'd all be in big trouble. There'd be some dudes out there. I'd be like, I like you.
Was it? I want it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have it.
They'd be like, born in East LA. I like your pants. Why don't you take them off? It's like,
I said, take them off, damn it.
I am not. If I was gay, I'd be the most openly gay dude ever, but I'm not. That's not me, dude. I've never been with a man.
I mean, because if you were, it's like, what is anybody going to do about it?
Yeah.
If they have anything to say to mock you, they're not going to say it to your face. So, like, what would you care?
So here goes. Here's another one here. All right. So they got to understand that we have 622 people that are watching. They've never broken 200, as far as I know, on their chat. It's just, if they did, it was a long time ago. So these people. And one of them here, Chris Geyer, that's your name, isn't it? The other one's Dana Ortega. They put their names out there. At least they have the decency to put their names out there. The other people are anonymous because they're fake, right? We know who
you got to give them that.
They're Mike and Jessica. We know who you are, and we're giving you a little airtime. We're little babies. We'll pat you on the butt because your humor is so outrageous. It makes for good entertainment, doesn't it? Here we go. Laughing my ass off, top of the shit show, and he's talking about his luscious hair. Yeah, right, sure was. And how hard she, my wife, works using AI on her crappy little songs. Well, I got a treat for you, Mr. Gayer. I mean, whatever, English sorcerer guy. And then he says, I think he's from England. I know you're not from Britain. I know you're from some crappy little shit place up there in the north. What I'm talking about is you remind me of the Harry Potter. Because you wore the hoodie, you look, and you're always casting spells, and your mouth is always open, like
wearing a skin suit, just
like
falling off.
It's always sagging your face, you know. Keep on casting them spells, boy. Anyways, let's play some of the crappy little songs. Nelly did a couple that were from the what's it called? What's his name? Edgar Allan Poe. Mm-hmm. We're gonna play those right now. Welcome to PRT After Hours, folks. Sit back, relax, and enjoy some music. While I dream of my gay lover, Lobo. Why would I would never tattoo somebody's name on my chest. Right? Lobo is wolf in Spanish, morons.
I know why you did that, because I think that you would think like, oh, it'd be dumb to tattoo wolf right here because it's my name. But like Lobo, it's Spanish. It has Mexican hair.
Well, I have wolf tattooed right here, but I already had the word wolf tattooed right here.
Yeah.
You can see it. If you can see. Oh, there it goes. That was originally a jailhouse tattoo from when I was in my teens and I got in trouble and I did a little tattoo on there. And I was like, I put like wolf on there, the Indian ink or whatever they call it, and then got it covered up. And then I got Lobo right here because my mother's Hispanic.
Exactly.
So it was like,
It's very
my
obvious
dad, my
why.
mom. They just come up with all kinds of crazy stuff. So since you're watching us, though, we're going to play some music for you because our stalkers, they need love too, don't you? Right? All right, go ahead and play this one. Let's see what we got. I'll put my earphones in so I can hear it. You want to put your headphones in, or because if you heard these, Tom, I don't think you've heard them yet. So this is going to be new for you. Oh.
Do we want to play the one that we played at the beginning for the people who didn't hear it?
No, just play the new one, then we'll play that one.
Okay.
This is called, what is this one?
A bleak December, Edgar's Raven.
Raven.
Nevermore came a rap and a gentle tapping, the ghosts of embers lying on the floor, wishing for tomorrow, my sweet Lenore, nameless there forevermore. The silk and purple curtains drew out my fear like terror I never felt before, brought back to my wonder, who could be at my door? Is it a man or a woman I implore? A darkness there and nothing.
That's not correct. Because the music, for some reason on that version, the music is louder, is drowning out the words.
Well, play the first one still.
Yeah, but play it.
The first one?
Yeah.
Nervousness born from the earth, my madness came by storm. I heard heaven and hell, but how can I be mad? Across the table, I'll tell you the tale. I wanted for nothing from the old man, not even gold. I'll tell no lie, it was the old man's eye, a veiled pale blue eye. Peering into it, my blood ran cold. And my heart is where I hold a secret plan for this old man. A descent into madness, it cannot be, it was the old man, not me. A pounding, a beating, the heart kept screaming. You may think me mad, but how for madness knows nothing. I sit here, my mind clear, this tale I tell. Are these the sounds from hell? 7 days I crept planning, but never did the eye reveal itself till that night. A slip, a sound, awakened did he, but I could not flee. I felt his fear that we tried to comfort and steer his dread, for he lay back in his bed. In flash I jumped on him, dragging him down. Now no more sound, he lie there, dead on the ground. Descent into madness, it cannot be, it was the old man, not me. A pounding, a beating, the heart kept screaming. Both fear and glee swept over me. No one would ever find the body. Sometime now they came, sat chatting, but I could hear it, the heart beating. It grew louder and louder, I could no longer contain myself as I slid the chair. They still stayed there, not leaving, my anxiety rising. Could they not hear the beating heart coming from beyond the dark? No longer could I stand, it came, my admittance. Here it is, the beating A descent into madness, it cannot be, it was the old man, not me. A pounding, a beating, the heart kept screaming.
All right, so that was the Telltale Heart. Okay, so the sound that was coming through, I was told. All right, so that was the Telltale Heart. Okay, so sound was coming through, wasn't correct on my headphones, so that was my bad. So now we're gonna play the Raven.
Was that it? Because it wasn't right on the headphones either. It didn't sound right.
So, like, what we hear in the headphones and what they hear,
Two different
yeah,
things.
two different things, basically. It's just the hardware.
No, down.
Oh,
There
yeah.
you go.
There
That
you
one.
go.
Play this one.
A bleak December, Edgar's Raven. Nevermore came a rap and a gentle tapping, the ghosts of embers lying on the floor, wishing for tomorrow, my sweet Lenore, nameless there forevermore. The silk and purple curtains drew out my fear like terror I never felt before, brought back to my wonder, who could be at my door? Is it a man or a woman I implore? A darkness there and nothing more. Out like a light that night, a rapping came tapping at my door. Is this the end? Forevermore. Into the darkness I gazed, stood fear and doubt, a nightmare it seems, but only a dream. The stillness and silence unbroken, till I whispered Lenore and your name came back. Only this and nothing more. A burning in my soul as I turn from the dark. But the tapping came back louder than before. It's the wind and nothing The window flew open, there stood the raven perched above my chamber door. Quiet still and nothing more. I feel a smile growing as I gaze upon its beauty, but the grave it wore, I beckoned thee from the chamber door. Spoke the raven, nevermore. My gaze upon the raven, the word it spoke meant nothing, even the word was a bore. For this bird named Nevermore.
So what do you think of that, folks? Does that sound like crappy little music? These people say these things, and you just motivate us to do more and more and more, forevermore. So let's play another one. Let's play this one. This one is based on Robert Frost, right? The Road Less Traveled. Do you know this one? This doesn't even have a name yet, but we're gonna play it. You ready?
As I travel this life alone, two paths both unknown, for what already has this life shown. The first step I diverge from normalcy, no paper cut out life for me. I did it my way, not much more to say. Less traveled, dark and cold, I came upon a fork in the road. I pondered, both mind free. The fall had come, for yellow is the autumn tree. Both I long to travel, for I'm but one. I could not see, for both were bent, the overgrowth and canopy. Where will destiny lead me? The first step I diverged from normalcy, no paper cut out life for me. I did it my way, not much more to say. I began my journey on the road less traveled. Regret haunts me at times, looking back wondering where the other path myself would find. But both paths are traveled equally, for many take the zombie road to normalcy, and others seek individuality. From the wear on the trail it appears 50-50. With every footstep came pitfalls and risks, rewards and opportunities. Looking back, what did I really miss? The first step I diverged from normalcy, no paper cut out life for me. I did it my way, not much more to say.
So what'd you think of that one? There's a couple more new ones too. And then she has these other ones with the Krampus song. So what'd you think of that one? And let me turn this down. And so she's got the Krampus song, and then she's got, like, what is it? There's another one called The Encounter. There's a bunch of them. She's done a lot of them. I watch her literally do these. I see her writing. She writes it.
Yeah, like the Krampus one is especially, like, it's pretty badass.
Yeah.
So, but that's for another time.
Multiple songs that she's made. Kristen says, kind of sounds like Tom Petty. It does, kind of Tom Petty and John Prine.
Yeah.
But, and she can do some things that is just, I don't know. It's crazy. It's amazing. Folks, I got to run, man. Thank you for tuning in. We got to go do our patrol. We got to go work and hopefully don't get attacked by zombie homeless people. That's how it goes, right? But thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being a part of Paranormal Roundtable. Thank you for the donations. My mouse isn't working, but we gotta go down. Let's see. So to everybody who helped out and chipped in and helped support the show, thank you for being the best part of what Paranormal Roundtable is. Don't forget, you can join by the Patreon. If you are a Patreon member, your stuff's coming. We mailed off to, when did we mail off? Friday.
Yeah.
We mailed off Friday. So give it some time, give it a little bit, and then your stuff. We mailed off 40 different packages. What
Yep.
was that? Oh, that was my Porky Pig hat.
Please,
Yeah, that's all, folks.
Why does he not have pants? And I thought
Yeah.
this was interesting because he's like Truffles. Truffles doesn't wear pants either.
well, I tried, but he refuses. I told him to get a job, and I spend some money on a
He's around
suit.
eating lettuce and
Yeah.
cabbage. He doesn't really do much.
Yeah.
Freeloader.
Definitely. He's like Scorp. But Scorp works, but he doesn't do a good job. That's all. We love everybody. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow night. Tomorrow night we have open lines. People can come on and say and talk about their crazy experiences. I say crazy. I don't mean like as in Looney Tunes, but I mean as in like this is happening, right? All right, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Adrian says walking unalived PRT team and fellow cult members. Exactly. We have to have some kind of like a special code. Like, how do we like a greeting?
That's a good idea,
for the
actually.
cult? I was gonna say the Vulcan death.
I was just about to do that.
Then I was like, or we could do 2 of them.
Let me see.
I don't know about that.
I don't know. What do you think? We're like, I don't,
Does that make a PRT?
what is that? Let's see, try it again. Let's see what you got.
Let's see. How are you gonna make a T though? Like bend it?
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
Did Alan Howe says, I want my swag. Did Alan get mailed
Yes.
off?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, Alan, we mailed you off. Did y'all give him a little extra?
Yeah, your name was on the list. Yeah.
Yep.
You did? We got you some extra, buddy. We love you, Alan. We will love everybody at Paranormal Roundtable, especially the Patreon members. You guys deserve it. And everybody who listens, you give us a like, you subscribe. We love you. Help us out. Help us grow so we can get more people, reach more people, and get the truth out there. Like they said, is it the X-Files? Is the truth is out there? Was that their saying? Yeah, the
X-Files.
truth is out there. So us, join us in the real reality. So with more people we got that'll come and listen, the better, right? And so thank you for everything. We'll see you tomorrow night. Good night.